Good afternoon. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
What's the plan? What are the New Year resolutions?
I haven't decided on any yet. Let's see.
I think I already told you my New Year resolution. Like, I make resolutions during my birthday.
Hmm. You want to follow your heart. Is that the
Yes,
one?
that's the one.
Nice. Good one to have. Very difficult, but if you can stick to it, tremendous value. But it's
Yeah,
going to be extremely difficult.
yeah. Also,
So luck.
you may not be like listening to your heart all the time. What I mean by that is because you need to actually be able to listen what your heart is saying because the mind is always so busy, like making stuff up, talking about your worries, fears, and stuff like that. And in comparison, the heart is a more softer voice. So it kind of gets lost in the noise of the head.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Is it?
for at least for
Oh,
me. So I need to quiet down a lot
interesting.
before I can hear the voice that is coming from my heart because otherwise all the time the mind is so chatty. And
Oh,
not only chatty, it is aggressive. It's like forcing you to pay attention to your fears, your worries.
really?
Yeah.
That's a very difficult place to be in, actually. It's tough. I mean,
I think
sounds
that
very tough. I mean,
everyone.
I know what you're saying because there are phases where I go through this.
Hmm. Yeah, but I think you are somebody who is more attuned to what the heart is saying.
Yes, but I usually still don't follow what it's saying.
Hmm.
I also have to consciously, like you, resolve to do so. Yeah.
And you're also very accepting. Even if it's saying ugly things, I feel you accept it.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Because there's no control over that. Right? Just saying something, not judging what it's saying. That's all.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, let's go get started with today's topic, which is how should startups or entrepreneurs choose their technology partners, right?
Yeah.
Should we first talk a bit about why we are choosing this topic? Why are we talking about which partners to choose? Like,
So I want to start with what is happening in the industry first.
okay.
So when I say industry, there is no real industry as such in this area because, for example, it's a very what do you call it? A very fragmented market. The market I'm talking about is people wanting to build new products. Okay,
Oh,
and when you said startup founders or entrepreneurs, I
hmm,
like to call them innovators.
okay.
Right? These are people who have decided that they want to build something new
Oh,
and they have found the white space and they also are passionately believing in that white space and they want to build those new products and build a business around those new products.
hmm,
Some of the people have invented new technologies and they are PhDs, and some of them are like domain experts, and some of them are just simply passionate, uh,
hmm.
like the tone door guy who is
Hmm.
just passionate about that and he wants to build great products. Okay,
Right. Hmm.
so it's a very fragmented market, and people who want to build new products can come from any what do you call it
Area or
area, any area,
industry. Yeah. Hmm.
any industry. I don't know if you turned off your video or
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, it's on back now.
sorry. So any industry, right?
Hmm.
So people can come from any industry. So what is happening is, whereas building new products is a specialist job,
Hmm.
okay, it's not a job that anybody is qualified to do well. For example, and I'm talking about technology products. Like for example, if you take the example of the tone door
Hmm.
person, his
Hmm.
name is
Brigu.
Brigu. See, Brigu is an expert in building cables and electric guitar equipment.
Hmm.
But in order for him to become successful, he also need a e-commerce storefront for him to sell his products.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
Now, e-commerce store is something that is very commonly available, but there are people whose innovations and inventions For them to become enabled online, they need to build new products.
mm,
It's not just off the shelf that you can get and buy and use many times.
mm,
So when those kind of guys run into a situation like this, that I need to build a technology product, when I say technology, I'm talking about software,
mm,
in this case, software, and I'm talking about web and mobile apps, and also to some extent, maybe data. But mostly I'm talking about web and mobile apps, and
mm,
I'm talking about software.
mm,
So when they want to build tech products, there is a very large information asymmetry
mm,
between the innovator
mm,
and what he needs to
mm,
become successful or build that successfully.
mm.
So, because there is a large information asymmetry, and this information of building new products, I still feel is a very privileged knowledge. Like, for example, in class 10, we all learn mathematics, we all learn differential calculus also,
Mm,
right? We learn differential calculus, we learn integration,
mm,
which probably you can call a specialized knowledge. But
mm,
how to go about building a new product, that nobody learns.
mm,
So there are a few people who have learned it this by association or by their own self-study, looking at other startups, or they have their friends have started companies, or their seniors have started companies. Like
Through
people,
trial and error, even. So they
yeah,
might be.
trial and error. People in IITs who've seen other seniors succeed in building products, and they can learn from them through
Mm,
association. They are learning. So this is a very privileged information.
mm,
So but the number of people who want to build new products is crazy. You know that. It is increasing day by day, and a lot of people want to build new products.
right.
So without this privileged information, there is a lot of information asymmetry.
Mm.
That
Because of this demand and supply conundrum, that the demand for people who have this knowledge is tremendous, and many people want to know this, but the supply of such people
yeah,
is not enough.
one is that, and second is we have not made this a discipline of study.
Mm,
As a society, we have not made building new products a discipline of study.
mm,
It's a little bit of a, what do you call it? It's a little bit of an art. Like, okay, I understand playing guitar is an art, but you can also study playing guitar.
yeah.
But building new product is also a specialized art slash science, but
Mm,
you don't study it in a disciplined way.
mm,
So that is why people learn it by association. It's special knowledge that people have learned by trial and error, also experience, also for that matter.
mm,
Make a lot of mistakes and learn. So
mm.
then what happens?
So, okay, I'm interrupting you here. So, let's say, so, all right, there are these innovators who want to build new products, but they don't have the knowledge or even the source or even a means to that knowledge, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So, as a result of that, what's happening? What are the innovators going through? That's kind of.
So what they are doing is
Hmm,
they are going and reaching out to anybody who they think knows how to do software. Right? For example, if I want to build a car
hmm,
and I reach out to any mechanic saying, "Hey, I want to build a car, help me build a car,"
hmm,
that wouldn't be the right solution. The mechanic will say, "Great, yeah, I would love to build a car,
hmm,
right? I would love to build a car. Let's start together."
hmm,
But the problem is that mechanic may or may not have the design skills. May have also. There might be some exceptional skills.
hmm, hmm.
But most often you will run into a mechanic who knows how to fix existing cars, but not design the engine, not design the, what do you call it? What do you call
Chassis or whatever, yeah.
it? And
All
stuff
the.
like that,
Yeah.
right? But what is happening is people are asking all of their friends, "Hey, you know software development. You have written code for this company in the past, and
Hmm,
I want to build a product. How
hmm,
about you helping me?"
hmm,
And what is happening is many of those people have experience in probably building enterprise software, in probably building improving existing software,
hmm.
right? And they are applying that skill in building new products. So for
Yeah.
example, if you go to somebody who has experience in building enterprise software, he is going to demand a huge budget for you, saying,
Hmm,
"If you want to build this, then you need $15 million." And you will believe him because he has only worked in an environment of $15 million.
hmm,
And the reason why enterprises are allocating $15 million for that project is because they don't are that's not a risky project.
hmm.
They already know that if they invest $15 million, they know how to get more than $15 million out.
Hmm.
But new products are by principle risky. So if you are applying the same software principles in building new products, you will want to allocate crazy huge amount of budget, number one. And number two, you will expect that the requirements are 100% known in the on day one before I build the product. And every time the entrepreneur comes and says that, hey, by the way, I discovered something new about the customers, I want to make this change.
Hmm.
Person will be unable to, because he or she is not even brought up in an environment where they need to kind of engineer these kind of lessons from the market into their product.
Hmm. So would you say it's a wrong assumption in a way that okay, just because someone's a software developer, that means that they'll understand and are the right, exact, correct person to build the right product for you?
Yeah.
Because like I can totally relate to this because as you know, I'm a civil engineer, and if
Mhm.
someone just comes and says, "Okay, you're a civil engineer, so how do we make this dam?" versus okay, you're a civil engineer, so how can we make this road better? Or
Yeah.
you're a civil engineer, so how tall should this pole be to carry these cables? These are completely different fields of study, and they require years of uh, studied and research and experience to
Right.
even comment on. It's
Right.
not like that I'm a civil engineer, I'm a certified civil engineer, so I can just come and say, okay, do this and do that, and I know the very basics. As
Right.
in our education system is like it's you know the basics of everything, but you
Yeah.
need someone to go down that rabbit holes, understand things, and it's a very niche uh, ex, uh, topic that you're talking about. Building a new
Absolutely.
product is a very niche subject that
Correct.
needs specialists and not just any software developer, which is, I think, number one misconception that people are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are having that misconception. And also another thing is, people are not thinking of building a new product as different from being able to build software. For example, the decisions that you need to make
Mm.
to build a new product, the extent to which you need to future proof your architecture to build a new product, and to the extent to which you need to future proof your architecture and give the entrepreneur, the business head, the freedom to explore
Mm.
the possibility of creating customers while the product is getting built with different value propositions.
Mm.
So for example, if I'm a traditional software engineer, I'll go to the entrepreneur will come and tell me, I want to build a new product, and these are the specifications of the new product. And
Mm.
most of the time, the entrepreneur is extremely confident about their specification until they go and try to sell it.
Mm.
Because when you go and try to sell it, you will realize that your customers are making 20 other demands.
Mm.
And many times you are developing a product for the first time.
Mm.
So you don't know what it needs to for you to sell the product. And also in software, just selling this product is not enough. You also have to get your users to actually adopt the product.
Mm.
Whereas in a cycle, once you sell the cycle, whether the person is cycling or not doesn't matter. But
Mm.
software, you sell for 1 year, especially SaaS. You sell for 1 year, and
Mm.
then you need the person to renew, and then you need the person to renew again. So
Mm.
that is only possible if they're actually using it.
Mm.
So adoption is a different animal in itself,
Mm.
and you are not understanding that how difficult adoption is, because how often do you install a new app on your phone?
Mm.
Definitely not as often as new apps get released on the Play Store or
True,
App Store.
true. Absolutely, yeah.
Adoption is a different ball game altogether.
Mm.
So there are many things that entrepreneurs don't know, that they will many problems that entrepreneurs are not aware that they will run into problems like this. Like for example, they may estimate cost of development of the product, but they may not estimate the cost of maintenance of the product.
Mm.
They may not estimate the cost of what is going to be my server costs for 2 years, for example.
Mm.
So they may not be estimating these things, and they may have blind spots. Not they will have blind
They
spots.
will have. Mm.
So when they come up with a requirement saying, hey, this is my requirement, build this product for me. Now, if a software engineer says, great, I'm going to build this exact product for you.
Mm.
Now, the software engineer builds the exact product that the entrepreneur has asked. Entrepreneur takes it and goes to market and tries to sell it, and hears 20 different opinions about 30 different changes their users want.
Mm.
And then he comes back to the software developer and say, hey, I need you to change this. And software developer is like, bro, what?
Yeah, I
Think of,
understand what the problem is. Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
did not think of this.
Mm.
You cannot come and tell me now that
Yes.
requirements have changed.
Yeah.
And the problem is the entrepreneur also does not know or think that he needs to buy from somebody who is future proofing the technology, so
Right.
that the technology gives him the freedom to explore what is possible in the market with
Mm.
that fundamental idea.
Mm. So you need, as a partner, you need someone with more, how should I put it, who is more responsible for the product and is more interested than just a software developer, is
Yeah,
how I'm looking at it. It
yeah.
needs to be someone who can see what this guy wants. It's not like a job. Okay, what do you want? You want a website? All right, I'll make it. It's not that.
Hmm.
It's like the website developer is asking, I'm just simplifying the whole thing. So if it's like a website developer asking, okay, what if your traffic increases tenfold tomorrow?
Yeah.
Are you expecting that? How do you also want a shop? Do you
Yeah.
also want a blog page? So he's also thinking like
Yes.
that. So the partner needs to be like that and not just a software developer who can just do the job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The partner, whoever is the person who is building the software, needs to understand the vision
Hmm.
of the entrepreneur and extend and foresee where this vision might go in the future.
Yes. Hmm.
If you're trying to build a doctor app,
Yeah.
doctor directory app, the partner or the IT software engineer needs to ask the entrepreneur, do you also want to do online appointments tomorrow?
Hmm.
You're not telling me that I will work on it today. I'm
Right.
not, but I need to know so that tomorrow, if you tell me that,
Hmm.
then we are not stuck. By
Hmm.
the way, like for example, in an enterprise situation, if people, it's a very common thing called change request. Like I told you a specification, but now I have realized something and
Hmm.
I need you to make a change. In enterprise software, it's called a change request.
Hmm.
Now, change requests have additional budget,
Hmm.
and then also they take anywhere between 3 months to 6 months. But if an entrepreneur who's taking a new product to the market hears from his software engineer that for
Hmm.
me to make this change will take 6 months,
Hmm.
because he hears that for me to make this change will take 3 weeks, that is a life or death situation for that product. Because in 6 months you may even run out of money.
Right.
So it's a life or death situation for that product that you have not thought about what are the changes you might ask for in the future well enough.
Hmm. Right.
So one is the software engineer needs to ask the
Innovator.
innovator the future vision, what all you want to do. Second, the software engineer also needs to improve a lot of the ideas of the innovator,
Hmm.
because the innovator is not coming from the point of view of
Hmm.
what is possible via software.
Hmm.
They are thinking from the perspective of what they need. But
Yes.
what you need, like UPI could have been a peer-to-peer technology payment transfer technology.
Hmm.
But the same technology can also power scanning of UPI, scanning of QR codes and pay vendors.
Hmm.
Right? Now, this a technologist can say,
Hmm.
because the person knows how to make small tweaks and make this technology even better than what the innovator was originally thinking.
Right.
So you also need a software engineer who can help you improve your requirements
Hmm.
and advise you that there is a better option here and this is the better option for you. Technically this is possible and you
Hmm.
need to think about it.
Hmm.
And also somebody who is preventing you from making common mistakes,
Hmm.
because there are very common mistakes that kill products that we see entrepreneurs do again and again. For example, trying to build more all the features on the first day, not the most important feature, but all the features on day one. This is
Hmm.
a this is the classic way of killing your product.
Okay. So what should they do instead?
They should build the most important feature first, release it to their customers, see what is the response, and then after that keep adding more and more features, because you need the customer should be the owner of the requirement, not you. Your job is to be the good listener and hear that requirement and change it into what is valuable for the customer.
Mm.
But entrepreneurs make the mistake that I have already understood what the customer needs. Most
Mm.
often they haven't. And
Mm.
it's better you build a small piece of software that solves a really burning problem.
Mm.
Give it to them with a lot of limitations, because they will be really interested in, adopting a software that solves a burning problem, even if it has some shortcomings.
Mm.
And then slowly build your business around it, may improve it, and then maybe if the customer asks for more features, you build that. Like WhatsApp, for example, did not have images sent for like 8 9 years. You couldn't send images, you could
Mm.
only text.
Mm.
They are number one platform, right? WhatsApp has the money to build all the features in the world.
Even while you were talking about this, I was thinking Instagram didn't have the video feature for the longest time.
Exactly.
Just had images. And
Exactly.
I was like thinking, why aren't they bringing in the video? Why aren't they bringing? And then they eventually did. But I now understand why they were doing that.
Yeah. Now this is very special knowledge, right? Like nobody will notice this.
Yes.
Nobody will notice that Instagram has all the budget, but they're not building all the features.
Mm.
So, but people will think, hey, I have the budget, let me build it. And that's a very big mistake.
Mm. So that can, what all can it affect? It affects the time taken to release the product. It affects your cost of obviously.
Yeah.
What else does it?
It also impacts the customer's understanding of your product, because customers understand very little about your product. You breathe it, you eat it, you live it day in day out. When you go to a new customer, the customer understands very little. Many times it's a new paradigm for the customer, whatever you're proposing. You
Mm.
may ask for some change of workflow also, that don't do this, do that instead, right? And
Mm.
there is resistance to change.
Mm.
So customer doesn't understand your product fully. There is resistance to change in accepting your product
Mm.
fully. So then what happens is customers will not accept your product at all, because it asks them to change everything about, because they have to adopt 200 features. Instead, it's easier to convince customer to adopt one feature for 1 month or
Mm.
3 months, and then the next feature in the next 3 months,
Mm.
which is better for you. You will get customer adoption if you genuinely solve the problem well.
Mm. Right.
And also you will get lost in maintaining quality for a very large product. The
Mm.
problem with software is the cost of maintaining the software and keeping quality up to date is not linearly correlated to size. It kind of explodes. It's not exponential, that would be an exaggeration,
Mm.
but it's somewhere between exponential and linear.
Mm.
As the size of the software grows, the cost of maintaining high quality across all of it kind of goes up.
Acha. Okay.
So it is harder to maintain quality across a very large piece of software.
Mm. Okay. So, okay, coming back to the partner thing. So, innovators now usually believe that, okay, since someone knows software, they are the right person to do it without, and they have so many blind spots. They usually do. And they think that we can, have like 10 features in the first version of the app, and they think that, okay, I know exactly what I want to build, and they go and tell the software developer, okay, this is exactly what I want. And then that we discuss how that leads to a disaster. So
Hmm.
now, what should the partner be like? How should, where do innovators go then? I can also see their side of the
Yes.
problem. Let's
Yeah.
say they say, okay, I want to build a product, I think this is what it is. Now I have to find someone who can build it for me. So it is in my head, it's kind of obvious that, okay, I have to go to a software guy.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what you say is completely making sense. And after they hear this, probably they'll be like, oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, it makes sense now. It'll click with them. So, but what are they supposed to do if not go to a software developer or someone who they know in tech?
Yeah, this is a good question. Unfortunately, I feel this is not a problem for us to solve for the entrepreneur to solve himself, or even the technology guys or the software vendors to solve themselves. I think this is a awareness issue.
Hmm.
This is more of an awareness issue, that people need to know what to do when they are in this situation.
Hmm.
because otherwise it's not possible to solve this problem.
Hmm. True.
It's an awareness issue, which is
Hmm.
why we are talking about this now.
Yes.
That
Yes.
hey, there is no awareness. Like if I want to build a new product, what should be my first steps? Who should I go and talk to?
Hmm.
Like this is an awareness issue,
Right.
in my opinion.
Understood.
I can
So,
talk.
so
Go ahead.
that's okay. Yeah. So that's basically the starting point. That people now, if innovators are aware that, see, these are the problems when you just go to a software developer and lay out your plan, explain what you want to build. So these are the problems you might face. There are cost repercussions. There are, uh, you know, the software developer might come back tomorrow and say, "Hey, you didn't tell me this beforehand. You said this, and you meant you're today you're saying you need to expand this or have remove this feature, add those 10 features. There can be these things. Your customers might not adopt your product. So there are a million problems that come with this. So, so what are the qualities that I think if you could just explain what are the qualities that an innovator might look for in a partner that will help them, you know, overcome this problem or make sure that they avoid these pitfalls when they're building a new product.
So I can tell you some of the best practices that the software developer needs to implement,
Okay.
uh, and then maybe we can translate it to how an innovator can look for a person like that.
Hmm.
Is that okay for you? Because it's hard for me to explain what are the qualities, because I also cannot look from the outside.
Hmm.
Uh, because I cannot look at myself from the outside or any other software developer from the. I will talk from a software developer's point of view, if that's okay.
I'm thinking, so there are certain things that you said that okay, tomorrow you might need 10 more things, and as an innovator, today you think that you need this, but tomorrow you will find out when you talk to your customers, you will find out okay, you need these extra features also, or you need to remove these features, or you need to add certain things.
Mhm.
So there's a problem with the clarity that that an innovator also has, isn't it?
Yeah,
Hmm.
maybe I can give you one thing, Tintin.
Yeah.
Uh, One thing that the innovator can do, which is
Hmm.
very easy, is whether the software developer is trying to build this relationship for the long run.
Hmm.
Is the software developer saying, "Hey, I want to be a long-term partner,"
Hmm.
or is the software developer saying, "Hey, I want to finish this project in 3 months or 2 months and then move on"?
Hmm.
Now, long. So that is one thing they can look for.
Hmm.
The reason is the person who is trying to be there, be the partner for the long run, that
Hmm.
I need knows that I need this person to be happy with the work that I'm doing for the long run,
Hmm.
because they will come back to me and tell me that I have 200 things, I have done 200 things wrong after they discover
Hmm.
that I have done 200 things wrong, right? So
Hmm.
I need to factor in that risk in what I'm delivering to that person today, in order for us to keep him happy for the future, right? Of course, now you can say this thing of a software developer wants a long term relationship means that the software developer wants a longer contract, and anybody would want a longer contract.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Hmm.
can think of it that way, but the
Yeah.
distinction here is the software vendor trying to have a long term contract in a way that more success for the innovator will mean more work for the software developer,
Hmm.
or he's thinking, I don't care about your success,
Hmm.
I am only going to want a long term contract, and this is my cost, and I want you to do this.
Hmm.
These are
Right.
two different things. Whether the software developer is saying, hey, the long term contract is conditional to our outcomes,
Hmm.
whether that person is willing
Hmm.
to make such a statement that our long term contract is conditional to your outcomes,
Right.
and I will help you develop those outcomes, and I am aware how to do that, or at least I am one of the best.
Hmm.
Or like at the very minimum, I'm not another software developer who knows how to build features or who knows how to do coding.
Right. Right. So okay, coming back to you were saying, that you can talk from a software developers' point of view, like what
Hmm.
are the things that they will have to look out for?
Hmm.
Maybe if we cover that, the innovator will also know whether the software developer is in line with
Yeah,
what you do. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that will be a valuable.
So one thing I can say is that see, software developer should take the architecture very seriously, because there are two three parts of software, right? Like one is building the architecture, which is making the design basically, like
Mm,
where is the server going to be, or how the server is going to be, what are the architectural patterns or design patterns I'm going to put in. They have to take the architecture very seriously, because architecture is where these decisions are made. See, any software will have fixed parts and moving parts.
mm,
For example, let's say that I am product manager at Facebook, right?
mm,
It's easier for me to change the color of the login button.
mm,
Very easy,
mm,
because it doesn't require too much of a thinking. But
mm,
let's say I want now Facebook to become Reels.
mm,
That's not a small change.
mm,
And let's say I want Facebook to become Uber.
mm.
That's an even bigger change.
Right.
So
Yes.
there will be things that will be easy to change, and there will be things that will be very hard to change. So I call this fixed parts and moving parts of any product,
Got it.
right?
Right.
So the architecture of the product is supposed to identify what are the fixed parts and what are the moving parts while you're doing the architecture of the product, right?
Mm,
You have to be proactively understanding the requirements and understanding what are the fixed parts and what are the moving parts. So we have something called domain driven architecture that we do, which means that we are not understanding just the requirements, we are
mm,
understanding the underlying business objects.
mm.
Like, for example, what a business
Right.
object is, for example, a business object is, let's say you're opening a bank account.
Mm,
A bank account is a business object, and
mm,
an account will have history.
mm,
Now, if the person who is an innovator comes and says, hey, I want bank account, I want people to enter this while they're opening the bank account, and the form will get submitted. And the
mm,
software developer says, yes, great. So I will make you a UI where you can enter this and it will go there. Then after a few days, entrepreneur will come and say, hey, but I also want the list of all the transactions.
mm,
Now, in before the entrepreneur comes and says that, it's the duty of the software engineer to have
mm.
already thought that
Yes.
account is going to have history.
Exactly. Mm,
Now, this is a domain knowledge. This comes from domain, right? So the software engineer's ability to understand the domain fundamentals and architect in such a way that the domain fundamentals are taken care is called domain driven development. So
mm,
you are writing the business objects to reflect the reality of the real world and not just implement the requirements that are being given to you.
mm,
So whether you are taking architecture very seriously, and how seriously are you taking change? How much are you planning and preparing yourself for change? Because a new product is for sure always an exploratory venture. You are not going to succeed without making few pivots.
mm,
How much effort have you put to anticipate change and to adopt for change when changes are going to come your way?
mm,
So these two things I feel are very important, that
mm,
a software developer needs to do before they promise any innovator saying, yeah, I can build your product.
mm,
And this takes time, by the way, and this also adds to the cost. And sometimes what happens is that slows down the software developer to go and give back a quote or a budget estimate to the innovator.
mm,
And the innovator is like not happy. It's like, hey, I'm waiting forever for a quote. What the hell? But there's somebody who's not thinking about this, is giving a quote very fast, and the innovator is very happy about this.
mm. So, how flexible is the architecture once the software developer kind of freezes it? Like both in terms of moving and fixed parts. Does it have like at the onset, can the software developer think, okay, maybe X number of moving parts, I keep a provision for them to be changed in the future? Does it work something like this?
That is one way of looking at it, but it is even better to identify the fixed parts and moving parts.
Mm,
Like, for example, let's say you are trying to automate workflow.
mm,
You can always assume that workflow is going to change.
mm,
That tomorrow a new workflow system is going to be the right solution. So you build the workflow in such a way so that it is changeable. Now, to build a workflow that is changeable, you need a state machine.
Mm.
You don't build the workflow manually by hand. You use a state machine, and the state machine allows you to change workflows. This is one example. Second
Mm.
example is, let's say that you are building a new software product. Now, obviously, eventually you will want to market it.
Mm.
Now, you want to market it, so you need a website.
Mm.
Now, the software developer says, hey, I'm going to build a website because you need it. Now, the software developer can build the website by hand,
Mm.
or the person can integrate with existing website solutions like WordPress,
Mm.
Webflow, or stuff like that. Now, if a
Mm.
software developer says, hey, I don't want to build your website software because there are millions of those, we will just take an existing software solution and integrate it so that
Mm.
you are not spending money on building something that is not your unique value proposition.
Mm.
You spend money on what is your unique value proposition.
Yes.
You use
Mm.
existing software, even if it means I don't get paid for it.
Mm.
That is the right thing for you.
Mm.
So the ability to use existing solutions and the knowledge of the existing solutions. Like,
Mm.
for example, WordPress is very commonly known. But
Mm.
there are many architectural patterns and many architectural components that are not very commonly known, like state machine. This is
Mm.
a very insider information that if you want to automate workflow, you need state machines.
Mm.
Now, an innovator will not be able to know this, which is why
Mm.
there is an information asymmetry, like I said,
Yes. Mm.
that the knowledge is so special that there is
Mm.
information asymmetry about what is the right way to build this new product.
Right. Right. And I guess they are just dependent. They're depending currently on just the software developers they know, who might or might not have the required expertise in
Yeah,
building new products.
yeah. And another sign, a good sign, is a software developer who is willing to disagree with you, saying this is not good for you, don't do this.
Mm.
That's a good sign. And
Mm.
many times innovators get annoyed and upset about software developers like that because they feel like, hey, my the job of the software developer is to just do what I'm asking.
Mm.
But sometimes you have to also prevent your customers or the innovators from doing simple common mistakes.
True.
So somebody who's willing to say, hey, don't do this, this is wrong for you.
Mm.
That is also interesting. Like Brigu, for example, if you ask him, go and ask him for a random cable, saying, hey,
Mm.
I want a 50-meter cable with this, he will say, don't do it.
Mm.
Because he's an expert and he knows what is the right cable for you, and he will tell you what is the right cable for you. Now you have to be willing to listen to Brigu.
True. True. Right. Yeah. Interesting points. Yeah. Yeah. It's actually a pretty tough scenario for innovators. Come to think of it.
Yes. And people are losing millions behind this. People are spending a lot of money. Building new product is expensive. I just met a person who spent like 200, 300,000 US dollars. Some people have spent 5, 6 million US dollars behind a product. Want to build an amazing product on day one. They don't want to go to customer with a small product because they don't like it, hurts their ego to think that, hey, my product is going to be some another kid on the block.
Mm.
Right? So the people are spending millions of money and then blowing up that money.
Mm.
This is why a lot of products fail. Like 10% of the products are successful, right? Why?
Yeah.
The number one reason is the market doesn't need your product.
Mm.
You think the market needs the product, but the market doesn't want your product. But one of the ways to fix that is to not spend a lot of money before you have validation from paying customers, by the way. Another mistake,
Maybe.
yeah,
Mm.
another mistake entrepreneurs make is people think that going and giving good demos means I have a customer. When customers will say great things during demos because it's not much.
Human nature.
But when you ask for money, then they're like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
This problem, that problem, this problem, that problem.
Yeah. True.
So it is a very tough situation for entrepreneurs. And in my opinion, the only way to solve it is through awareness,
Mm.
which is
Yes.
why we are having this conversation.
Understood. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. True.
I think building new products should become a building new product should become a course in schools. Everybody should be taught how to go about building new products, because that's what they need to become successful. That's
But
how.
isn't it too broad a subject to be covered in one? As in, there can be a million products, different types of products. It can be done as a subject.
I think so, because you can teach some of the very simple basics. Like
Hmm.
for example,
Don't build what you don't need,
don't build what you don't
for
need.
example.
For example,
Hmm.
second example is customer validation is important, and
Hmm.
customer validation comes from customers spending money, not from customers appreciating you.
True. Hmm.
And at what stage you know that customers are liking your product? How do you know that? And how do you allocate budget for various stages of product development,
Hmm.
right? These kind of things, these are very fundamental things, and many times they are domain agnostic. It doesn't matter whether you're building software product or you're building
Right.
sunglasses.
Right. Hmm.
So I feel that we need to develop a course, or not develop a course, at least we should have collection of lessons
Hmm.
that we publish, saying,
Hmm.
hey, and then we create awareness.
Hmm. True. Right. Hmm.